You know that classic anime moment when the main character finally powers up, screams into the sky, unlocks some hidden ability, and beats the bad guy in the next week? Yeah. That never happens in Tokyo Revengers, because Takemichi Hanagaki isn't that kind of protagonist. He is absolutely weak, and he stays weak. On top of that, he cries, gets knocked out, wakes up, and cries again. And for a lot of fans, that's exhausting. They call him weak, annoying, unbearable to watch. He fails, hesitates, gets dragged around, and never seems to change in the ways we expect. It's like he's stuck while the story keeps moving forward without him. But here's where things start to shift. Takemichi plays a mind game with us. He doesn't fit the typical mold. And while we wait for the moment he becomes strong or just does anything heroic, he keeps showing us something else, something we don't want to see. From the very first episode, he's not introduced as a fighter or a leader or a hidden prodigy. He's introduced as a guy who peaked in middle school, which was, by the way, filled with trauma. He works a dead-end job. His apartment has thinner walls than his emotional stability. And then he learns that his ex-girlfriend, Hinata Tachibana, and her younger brother, Naoto, have been killed by a gang called the Tokyo Manji Gang. You don't need to know all the details yet, just know this. They're the reason everything goes wrong. The next day, someone shoves him onto the train tracks. This should be the end of the story, but it's not. Instead of dying, Takemichi wakes up 12 years earlier. It's 2005. He's back in middle school. He has no idea how, but he doesn't waste it. He finds Hinata's little brother and tells him the exact date he'll die. He listens, they shake hands, and snap, Takemichi is back in 2017, but Naoto is alive. Turns out that handshake did something. From that point on, physical contact between them lets Takemichi jump through time to fix something, to save someone, mainly Hinata. Now he's stuck in a loop. The past, the present, the weight of regret, and worst of all, the pressure to change everything with nothing but, from now on, a reason. That's all he has. He doesn't get stronger like Mikey or Draken. He doesn't manipulate like Hisaki. He is still the same as he was before. The only difference is now he knows how the future looks if he runs away like he did before. Takemichi's time travel mission sounds heroic. Go back, fix the past, save the girl. Easy, except it's not. The first time he changes something, it works. He saves Akun from going to prison. That should have been the win. But in the new timeline, Akun throws himself off a building. Hinata still dies. The shock on Takemichi's face? That's not anime drama. That's real despair. He saved one life only to watch another be ripped away. So he tries again. He learns Draken will die. Draken, the one guy who keeps Mikey grounded. If Draken dies, everything collapses. Takemichi bleeds for this mission. He drags himself into gang wars he was never built for, gets stabbed, knocked out, kicked, humiliated, but he does it. He saves Draken. So this should change the present, right? Well, kinda. Draken is alive, but now he's in prison on death row. And Hinata? She's alive too, until Akun kills her. The pattern doesn't just repeat, it spirals. Takemichi isn't fixing the timeline. He's just reshuffling the wreckage. And every time, the outcome is worse. Baji dies, Emma dies. Every step forward is another grave. Yes, technically, they die in the past, but only because the future already changed. Baji was supposed to be killed by Kazutora, but after Takemichi's interference, Baji ends up stabbing himself just to stop Mikey from crossing a line he couldn't come back from. And Emma? She only dies because Kisaki joins Tenjiku, a gang that wouldn't even exist without Takemichi's earlier time leaps. So even when he fixes something, the timeline finds a new way to break. And to audience, he is still the crybaby. Still laughed at, still blamed, too weak, too emotional, too late. But here's what most people miss. He keeps going. No real strength, no special power, no safety net, just more guilt, more pain, and that desperate urge to keep trying. And every time he leaps, you feel it. The weight, the dread, the stomach drop of knowing he'll come back to something even darker. Because returning to the present, it's like opening a cursed letter. Who's dead this time? What did he mess up now? And how much further has Mikey slipped into the abyss? It's not just tragic. It's exhausting. Watching him suffer becomes a weight we carry too. But it's also the point. Takemichi isn't just losing battles. He's losing pieces of himself, and yet he still goes back. Here's where things start to mess with you. He doesn't just make mistakes, he keeps making the same ones. You watch him go through hell, and then he walks straight back into it, again and again. At some point, it's not even inspiring anymore. And you start thinking, maybe he should give up. And that thought, that discomfort, that's the trick. Because he isn't written to make you cheer, he's written to make you feel stuck, just like he feels. Most anime heroes grow. They level up, gain power, and earn our admiration. That's what we're trained to expect. Watching characters overcome obstacles gives us dopamine. It's progress, it's payoff. But Takemichi doesn't give you payoff. He gives you pressure. He's not a symbol of strength. He's a reflection of your own fear of being weak. Psychologically, this plays on projection. What we can't accept in ourselves, we often condemn in others, especially when their flaws feel uncomfortably familiar. Takemichi's fear, helplessness, and breakdowns mirror our worst days when we felt stuck, useless, ashamed. And we hate seeing that in him because we hate feeling it in ourselves. This leads to cognitive dissonance. Our brain says, he's the main character, he should be strong, but our eyes see him sobbing again. Our expectations clash with reality, and that gap makes us angry. There's also emotional contagion. The more he breaks down, the more we start to feel what he's feeling. Despair, panic, hopelessness. And since those emotions suck, we want them to stop. But he doesn't. That's the brilliance. Takemichi doesn't let us escape those feelings. He drags us into the emotional grind with him, the constant failures, the fear of trying again, the paralyzing thought that no matter what you do, you can't change anything. And that is exactly what makes him human. Most heroes face the enemy. Takemichi faces the void. And maybe that's why we get so uncomfortable. Because deep down, we know if it were us, we'd probably give up. But he doesn't. And his crying, it's not just sadness. It's rage at his own limits. It's grief for the people he couldn't save. And yeah, it's weakness, but it's also refusal. Refusal to break, refusal to stop, refusal to let go of Hinata, of hope, of himself. And maybe that's what really frustrates us. Because Takemichi never gives us the relief of watching him rise. He gives us something harder, the choice to keep going anyway. He doesn't just fight back against fate. He fights against the very idea of how we think a main character should behave. And in doing that, he reveals something dark and real. We don't actually want realism in our protagonists. We say we want characters we can relate to. But the moment one mirrors our fear, our doubt, our failure too clearly, too honestly, we turn on them because it reminds us of ourselves. And if they're broken, maybe we are too. But Takemichi holds up that mirror and doesn't blink. He doesn't just endure punishment from villains. He takes it from us, the audience. We mock him, get tired of him, beg the show to move on. But he won't. He can't. He's locked in a loop. And so are we. That's the final twist. Takemichi forces us to feel what he feels, to sit in powerlessness, in grief, in anger. He strips away the fantasy we usually cling to and asks us something simple and brutal. Will you still care even if I never win? And the answer to that might say more about us than it does about him. Because strength isn't always flashy. It's not always loud. Sometimes it looks like crying, like crawling, like showing up anyway. And in that way, maybe Takemichi Hanagaki is one of the bravest protagonists in anime, not because he changes the world, but because he refuses to leave it broken. Even when we don't believe in him, he still believes in us. And maybe that's the mind game he's been playing all along.